Hello everyone, back to you in today's video. Going to have a look at the weather next week, 10 days. In today's video, it's going to take us to around the 15th, 16th of July, so into the middle part of the month. We're waiting for thunderstorms to pop off across central parts of the country. Not much happening at the moment, but the heat is building, and we'll wait and see whether those storms do develop this afternoon. No real change on Stormwatch, which I released last night, so we're just going to have to wait and see what happens this afternoon. It's not a classic thundery breakdown, and that's been indicative of the summer so far. We haven't yet had a real classic thundery breakdown yet, and this one isn't going to be a classic thundery breakdown either. The storms that do develop, I think there will be storms developing this afternoon. They are likely to be pretty scattered, and certainly not everywhere we'll get those storms by any means. We're going to wait and see what pops off this afternoon. I say this is going to be having a look at weather for the next week to 10 days. It takes us into the middle part of July. It's looking cooler and more unsettled next week. We'll see what's happening right now, starting off with the latest observations from xcweather.co.uk. You can find a link to XC Weather on the links page. So the heat again, it's down in the south across Scotland. Strathallan, for example, at 17 degrees. Aboyne at 17 degrees over on the east coast. At Inverbervie, there the temperature is 12 degrees, probably in mist and low cloud. But come down to the south and the heat is building nicely. So Benson in Oxfordshire is at 28 degrees. Go further south to Farnborough, 28 degrees. London Heathrow at the moment is at 30 degrees. High Wycombe 27, Luton Airport 27, and see if we can find somewhere else. So London Heathrow again, that's 30. I think Northolt is also at 30 degrees as well, and further south of that, London Gatwick 26, and then along the south coast, Shoreham Airport, for example, at 24. So it's a little bit cooler down on the actual south coast, but come a few miles inland, does turn very hot. Up in the Midlands, Coleshill at 27 degrees, East Midlands Airport at 25, and Cranfield at just 21. And what might be happening at Cranfield is that there's some cloud and possibly some thundery showers coming through. So this is the latest radar picture from the Weather Outlook. We see we've got showers draped around the coast, but many inland areas are dry. You can see these intense colours here across East Anglia. Those are thunderstorms. You have a look at the lightning detector and take away the rain. Let's have a look at the lightning detector. That's the right one. So the lightning detector shows that there is lightning flashing away there across parts of East Anglia with that cluster of thunderstorms. They're going to carry on drifting northwards, but you see there's not much happening at the moment. We are waiting for those storms to get going, and I think the areas most likely to get the storms are going to be through northern and eastern parts of the Midlands, obviously into East Anglia, we've already got them, and then moving up the eastern side. But by no means are these storms going to be widespread. They're going to be hit and miss. If you get one, you'll know about it, but don't be expecting a storm really in any one particular location. As I say, we haven't yet had a classic thundery breakdown so far this summer, although it has been a very warm summer so far. We're still waiting for a real classic thundery breakdown, and maybe that will happen later on in the summer. We'll wait and see. So have a look at weather next week, 10 days next then, and we'll have a look at the 500 millibar height anomalies here for the next week to 10 days from the PSU website, Penn State University. So we've got the flow charts for the ECMWF here on the top. We'll have a look at it in a moment, and the GFS is on bottom. We'll have a look at that also. 500 millibars, 8,000 feet is an area in the absolute high pressure, low pressure are being moved around by jet stream running above. Below extrapolates to low pressure, and the brighter colours like the oranges and reds, they extrapolate to high pressure. This is taking us to the middle part of July. So before we've got the Azores high here, down to the south and the southwest of the country, we've got low pressure up to the north with the ECMWF, and we're bringing the jet stream across the Atlantic like that. So it does look more changeable next week. We should have more of an Atlantic influence, and we should also have some outbreaks of rain, showery bursts of rain as well. We're not talking about a deluge here, but we are talking about a more unsettled phase through to the middle part of July. GFS is very similar, but it's actually more unsettled, with the below average heights in across many northern and central parts of Europe. The UK is included. The Azores high is out in the central part of the Atlantic, and the jet's going a bit like that. So also on the cool side of the jet there with the GFS. That does look particularly cool and unsettled. Might be a little bit overdone, but this middle part of July is looking like a cooler and more unsettled phase. These are the GFS temperature and precipitation ensembles for the next 2 weeks. The red line here is the 30-year temperature average, so we're hot at the moment. It's going to be cooling down into the weekend, but still staying pretty warm actually over the weekend. Still probably a little bit above average in the mid-20s Celsius down across the south. Next week does look more definitively cooler then, with temperatures going a little bit below average, before a slight recovery starts to take place in the temperature into the second half of the month. That's this period just here. It's a long way off, but it maybe is an indication that into the second half of July, temperatures begin to recover. Notice there are a few hot outlier members beginning to appear later on in the ensemble. For precipitation, so this spike just here is associated with the thunderstorms that we may be getting in some parts of the country today, but we already know it's by no means a widespread thundery breakdown. Loads of dry weather over the weekend, and then into next week we're looking at more unsettled conditions coming along as the Atlantic begins to bring weather systems back in across the country. The second half of July, this period just here, perhaps looking a little bit drier. Temperature anomalies are warmer than average just for England and Wales, a little bit cooler than average for northern and western parts of the country. The precipitation anomaly, that's coming out close to average for the week from the 6th through to the 14th of July. Here's the GFS for Monday, and we've got low pressure close to the southeast. That could be bringing some showers along with spells of rain to southern counties on Monday. Otherwise a fair amount of dry weather, but you get the idea as we go through to Tuesday. Low pressure is in situ then over the country, so looks like it's turning more unsettled through the early part of next week. It's quite a bit of uncertainty into the actual detail of how that is happening, but looks more unsettled through to the early part of next week. Middle part of next week perhaps gets a little bit of a build of pressure from the Azores high again, so maybe a couple of drier, warmer days Wednesday, Thursday, and then back to more unsettled conditions Friday, and then into the weekend of the 15th and the 16th of July. We're in this Atlantic flow, which brings the most unsettled conditions to the north and west, and the driest but not completely dry conditions to the south and the east. It's going to be a little showery for the south on Monday, otherwise not too bad, but then low pressure is taking over across the country by Tuesday, so becoming more unsettled and cooler through the early part of next week. That low pressure clears out of the way for the middle part of next week. We get a bit of a build of pressure there, so a couple of drier, warmer days midweek next week, and then we're back to an Atlantic westerly flow, although still with quite a bit of influence from the Azores high down in the south. So southern areas will always get the driest weather through to the middle part of July, and always most unsettled in the north. A little bit of a north-south split really, if you like, with I don't think it'll be too bad at all really down in the south through the course of next week. I think there will still be a lot of dry and warm weather at times. It'll be the north and west that gets the most unsettled conditions. So overall the summer continues to be pretty decent for southern areas, probably becoming a little bit cooler and more unsettled up to the north. Right, that's it for today's video. Tomorrow we'll be doing JMA Friday, having the month ahead look at with Japanese and CFS2 models, so come back to that. That's all for now, and of course you get those storms, don't forget that you can email your pictures. You get some lightning pictures to gazweathers@gmail.com. We're always happy to feature the pictures in videos if we can. So if you do get a storm, you can certainly send your pictures to us. Right, that's all for now. Thanks for watching.